Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Awaken to Your Soul Path. I am your host, Barbara, and today I am joined by the wonderful BB Fenix. And we will be talking on how you can create your life by design. And I can imagine that you think, what are you talking about? I have no clue. Well, that just means that you need to stick with us because we are going to explain it all. And we promise it will be eye-opening for you. So, welcome, Bibi. I'm so glad that you are here and that you are talking about this topic with me today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited to sort of delve into it because it's quite an open topic. But yeah, thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Exactly. And I think the core of what we are talking, it's about being yourself, right?
Yes, ultimately, and choosing the life that you deserve and desire rather than being stuck with the one that you think you might be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes, because if I look at myself, and I would love to hear your story as well, is I grew up thinking that there was something wrong with me and that I needed to change who I was in order to have friends or to be liked or to have a partner relationship, a good working relationship with my coworkers. So that looked like having a version of myself for my coworkers, a version of myself for my friends, a version of myself at work, a version of myself with my parents. And eventually that led to a serious burnout because I wasn't being who I was with the people in my life, but I also wasn't doing the job that actually fit who I was. And it all came to a crashing halt in, well, I think 2010.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, no, it was quite similar actually for me in that I wasn't always trying to be someone else, but I was always able to be myself. But what I then did was always trying to please other people.
Mhm.
And by that, I then perhaps, was doing things that I didn't necessarily want to be doing and saying yes to things I shouldn't and saying no to things also that, doing the wrong things. Not necessarily I wasn't a bad person, but I was just always trying to appease other people. But I've
Mhm.
since learned that that is to my own detriment because then you're not being really true to yourself and you're not trying to make yourself happy, which I've learned is the ultimate key, really, because trying to make other people happy will never make you happy.
No, and still that is what the majority of people think, right? That if I work harder, if I do more for you, if I'm always there, if I, and this is subconscious, allow you to treat me as your doormat, then
Mhm.
you will love me or you will like me, you will be friends with me, you want me in your life, and you will think I'm valuable. There's
Yes.
this subconscious pattern that's underneath this people-pleasing behavior. And although we came from different origins, we both started people pleasing for a variety of reasons. And the reason for that is because you want to fit in.
Yeah. And that's a biggie because it's, you want to fit in with your friends, you want to fit in society, you want to fit in your family setting. It's always trying to fit in because we're creatures of needing other people as much as some people like to be on their own as well. We actually need communication, we need contact, we need, all of those things as a human being. It's an innate thing within us, but actually what we do is we create those false environments in which we think that we're happy in because it's what they want and what you think is right, but
Mhm.
actually then you're not actually making yourself happy. And by being in the wrong circles, then you're living a life that's actually not one that you could be living to the maximum. And for me, that's incredibly important. Life is far too precious to be wasting doing the wrong things with the wrong people, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And still, it takes people often a long time, if ever, to figure
Mm.
this out. And I think that that has a couple of causes. So one is what I call the rules, the bullshit rules of life, the things that have been handed down from generation to generation about the way things are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is expectations, living up to
Yes.
family expectations, to societal expectations.
Yeah.
And we think that that is the way it's supposed to be because if we talk to other people about it, they are
Mm.
doing the same thing. And when you think about happiness and doing something that fulfills you and that you love, well, when I was still working for the boss, everybody I talked to was miserable in their work and
Mhm.
said, that's why I think I hate this expression so much. Work hard, play hard, play hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nothing should be hard in life. It should be done
No,
with ease.
exactly. And you don't
Mm.
need to work really hard to have some leisure time and to enjoy your life. That
No.
is a completely brutal, false information.
Yeah.
And but so many people believe in it. I also believed in it. I was literally told, if you don't have the success you want, then you need to try harder or
Mm.
try something different or try more, right?
Again, that's what they say, that's what you're saying about these things are handed down from society, from families. But these things then we take on as our own beliefs. We believe them to be
Yeah.
true because it's what they told us to be true. But when you start questioning it and looking into it further, actually beliefs are a thought that you just keep thinking, repeating over and over. And
Yes.
our beliefs can be changed, like our thoughts can be changed. And it's as easy as being able to rewire yourself with these new thoughts and behaviors and patterns to replace these old. But actually people think that is all there is. They don't think that there are other ways because that's what they've been taught. But
Yeah.
actually start questioning these things, because you'll be delighted and surprised by what comes out of it. And then you've got to start, rather than looking at other people and thinking, oh, they've got the life I'd like to have, oh, I wish I could do that, but it's not for me, I can't afford it, I haven't got the time. Again, all these excuses and things that we believe to be true. But
Mhm.
actually you can do, be, or have anything you want to be. You just have to start
Definitely.
working towards it one day at a time, and it can happen. It really can.
Exactly, but it needs to be triggered by something because I never
Yes.
knew that there was something different, that there were other
No.
possibilities.
No.
I did what everybody told me to do and what I saw everybody doing around me, and I wasn't
Mhm.
even aware
Yeah.
of other possibilities. So that is a big reason behind why we are talking, and why I started this channel, and behind my shows, because I want to tell people that, in like you're saying, it doesn't have to be this way. I want
Mhm.
to reach the people that have never even imagined that something different could be possible, that have never heard that something different can be possible, and I want to indeed show them something else is possible.
Yes.
Your life does not look or have to look like this. You don't have to feel like this. There is a lot more that you can do, even when you think, uh, sounds awesome, but I'm not seeing any of that in my life. I've never seen proof of what you're saying.
Mm. I've become the living embodiment of it, because
Exactly.
my motto is, become where you stand is not where you need to stay. I was once a victim of domestic violence. I've also lost both of my parents to cancer, and then also had 3 years ago was in a toxic relationship where he was addicted to alcohol. And all of these things led me to believe that this was kind of the life that I was meant to have. But I've always had this burning desire inside to, firstly, to become an independent singer and to be a singer songwriter. It's something I always dreamt of. Last year I released 11 songs of my own, because it was something that I believed I could do, and manifested the way to start creating these things. And for me, music firstly was a healing tool, a way of
Yeah.
escapism, and also a cathartic way to release what was going on in my world,
Yeah.
writing it down as lyrics and sharing it. But I never really knew how to do that. But I, day at a time, started doing these things, and things started appearing, especially in lockdown. I discovered a way to suddenly start producing my own music. My daughter had this app on the phone, and I started playing with it, and then I started creating my own music. And then I discovered this online thing where I could meet other producers and creators of music. And then from that, I then started to meet people globally and started to share all of the wonderful things that I can do, and being able to then pass on my message through the joy of music. What a gift of healing that I can now start offering to other people. It's so beautiful.
I love that. And I recognize what you're saying. And I think that that is a gift, one of our superpowers. For me, music has always told a story. If people ask me, what is your favorite music? Then it's almost always something instrumental that is
Mm,
my favorite, because that speaks to me. And it was my way of expressing myself, and for me it was either singing or dancing, and then
mhm,
dancing in the broadest sense of the word. I've done ballroom dancing, Latin dancing, salsa, bachata, but also just house music, and just
yeah,
losing myself in some trance
mm,
energy or deep house or something like that. And especially these last ones, trance energy and deep house, again, instrumental, they
mm,
allowed me to let myself be swept up in the music, and
Yes.
then move to the rhythm and really express myself in dance. That was how I worked through the things that were happening in my life and how I released my emotions. And
Yes.
I also always danced with my eyes closed, because for me it's not about seeing the rest of the world or making contact
Mm.
with other people, but
Yeah.
it's an inner process. It's something I needed to keep myself in balance, so I recognize that part.
Yeah, and it's interesting you touch upon that, because it's about that being able to go into your inner self and get lost in that movement. Emotions are energy in motion, and we tend to, when we have a traumatic experience in life or something that goes on, if we don't process it when it's going on, we end up internalizing that in our body, and then
Yes.
they become stuck and trapped emotions and blocked, which can then become dis-ease or disease if left
Mhm.
unkept for a long time. But being able to start going on that inner journey, it actually starts you to become free, and it also allows you to tune back into yourself, into your intuition, into your gut, into your knowing. That
Mhm.
we're so busy in our brains all the time with everything, so much stimulation and so much sort of, everything on tap. We stay in our monkey mind and our thoughts trying to, unravel around a situation. But if you can breathe and kind of come back into your center and back into yourself, we actually have all the answers that we need within us, but we just have
Yes.
forgotten how to listen to them, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say that most of us have completely lost contact with our body, the connection to our body. So
Mhm.
everything happens up here, and that's logical because we come from a society that
Mhm.
valued facts and
Mm.
knowledge and analytical skills and
Yeah.
planning and
Mm.
strategies and goal setting,
Yeah.
really action oriented, logical thinking, head oriented.
Hmm.
So that's how our society functioned and what we've been taught in school and how everybody sort of expects you to function. But we are not those types of people. We are sensing beings, we are feeling beings, but we don't know that because everybody behaves like a thinking being.
Hmm.
And so we try to be a thinking being too. And we are also good at being a thinking being. So it doesn't become immediately obvious. But when things happen, especially when you are young,
Mm.
like it has to me, um, a lot of things happen that you cannot process because you're too young for those
Yes.
things.
Hmm.
So there's this safety mechanism that then stores it,
Yes.
and it literally stores it for later, although a lot of people never come around to the later part of
Hmm.
those things. And
Hmm.
indeed, when Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body, in ourselves, and it starts with the first bad experience that we have, and then every time something happens, we automatically, unconsciously compare it to the pain body. Is it the same? Or is it the
Yes.
same to another? And if we have multiple pain bodies, it gets compared to all of them. And as soon as it's like ding, 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 hit, then
Mm.
your autopilot programs start running. Your auto emotions that come with situations like that, your behavior that's auto with situations like that, your
Hmm.
actions, everything goes on autopilot.
Yeah.
And it feels like we don't have control over our reaction to a specific situation. And that is because we are letting our pain take over.
Yeah.
And our autopilots run free without checking them. And that's what happens when you start looking within, when you start looking at these patterns, not to lay blame, not to say how bad your parents have been, because I truly believe that they did their best with the knowledge that they had, and the opportunities and the abilities that they had. I believe they did their best, but it doesn't always mean that their best was good enough or that you didn't get hurt in the process. So it's not
Mhm.
about laying blame, but it's about discovering, well, the core of that pain body. Because if you can neutralize that pain body, then the next situations cannot be compared to something, which
Yeah.
means your autopilots stop functioning because they were created in a time where they actually did something for you. They were
Yes.
your survival mechanism. They
Yes.
helped you. So they served a purpose when they were created.
Yeah.
But usually, when we become adults, they no longer serve that purpose.
Mm.
And they can also start hindering us in our lives. They can make us freeze when we should have run, or freeze when we should have spoken up, or any
Mhm.
type of thing that we should have done but not doing because of this this pain that needs to be healed. And that can then cause being caught in the wrong job, being caught in the wrong relationship, constantly attracting the wrong types of friends or men or women or jobs or any of these things that are just not in alignment with who you are, because you are not allowing yourself to be who you are subconsciously, because you're
Mhm.
ruled by pain.
Yeah. Yeah. And something you sort of said that I want to pick up on was the running on autopilot thing. And that is because so many of us run on autopilot through our subconscious. You know, I heard this explanation recently that our conscious mind is like the tip of an iceberg. It's just the stuff we see on the top and the stuff that we're aware of. But so much more of our mind and our functions are from our unconscious mind, which is below the surface. And you can't see that what's going on. But take for example cleaning our teeth. This is something we do on autopilot without even noticing we're doing it. This is something that has been programmed within our subconscious mind, that we can think other things yet we can still function. The same with driving. We have these things that we program into our subconscious, the same as walking as a toddler. It's all these things that we learn how to do,
It's
and
a
we
good
then
thing
program into
most of the time.
ourselves.
Yeah.
But then, unfortunately, we also then program some of the negative beliefs and thought processes, as we were mentioning earlier, from society and family and so on. And those are the things that we then believe, again, to be true. But actually, if we start functioning and start creating new habits and new patterns and slowly taking things towards the things that we do desire, whether that's be something like giving up smoking or the life of design that you want, living the life that you dream and deserve and desire, or whether it's like losing weight or anything that we do, we have this way of talking to ourselves. We have these scripts that we tend to kind of go over and over. And if you think about it, when you sort of think about these little conversations that we have with ourselves in our head, usually fairly negative to a lot of people, but some people are able to kind of talk to themselves differently. But those conversations that we have over and over, oh no, I can't do that, I can't afford this, or I haven't got time for that, those things that we repeat to ourselves, we are driving into our subconscious minds. We're driving them into our unconscious patterns and behaviors, which again, we think that's who we are, but actually we can change that. And I love that. That's why I love this, this conversation that we're having, because
Yes.
we are able to change these things. We just have to know how to. And this is where we both began our journeys, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And so if we talk about creating your life by design, then it first starts with awareness. Everything starts with awareness.
Yes.
So you first need to become aware of what is your, or what are your predominant thoughts. You need to become aware of the effect that your thoughts have, because your thoughts create your emotions, and your emotions create your reactions, and your reactions create your actions, and your actions create your results. So what you think is incredibly important. And because what we think is also on autopilot, if you constantly think negative things, then you can never have a positive life. And so it starts with becoming aware. But it also starts with becoming aware what your autopilot programs on, which is the next step. If you feel triggered, you need to discover what are the things that trigger you. Where are they coming from? Do I need to heal something in this in order to not be triggered? Or is it a mindset thing? And do I need to reprogram my beliefs so that I start believing something else? And a funny thing is if you listen to your thoughts, and especially the criticizing thoughts, and the one that say, oh, you'll never amount to anything, or how could you have ever thought that you would be successful, or stories like that, then whose voice is that? Because I will bet you it's not your own. It's usually your mother, your father, or another authority figure in your life whose voice is saying things like that to you. And so awareness is the first step. And then depending on what you're finding with your thoughts, you need to either heal or you need to reprogram, and you need to dive really deep into what I call the ins and outs of your user manual. What is or what makes you BB? What is or what makes me Barbara? All the facets of who I am. And the better you get to know your user manual, the more adequate and accurate you can control your responses. And when you become aware that you respond in a certain way and you know where it comes from and you know what triggers it,
Mm.
then you know when to be alert and you know when to recognize when it happens, and then you know what to do when it happens. And then you do that instead of your autopilot program. And then
Yes.
slowly but surely, you are creating your life the way you want to design it instead of being this, well, automatic puppet almost.
Yeah. Yeah. And who wants to be a puppet on a string these days? No, you know,
Yeah.
it's not, you know, we think we have this freedom, but actually we don't have the freedom that we truly believe we have. But we can have that freedom, and we can have these dreams and desires. And you know, to people that may be listening to this and thinking to themselves, well, that's great, but I don't really know what I want. But you just need to start asking your questions, you know, about what's important to you in life. You know, do you want to spend more time with your family and your children? Do you want to be working your own hours in your own locations, rather than, you know, the matrix 9 to 5 of what, you know, is believed the only way to be earning money in this day and age, which there are so many more of. You know, you need to sort of get clears on your dreams and desires, and once you start getting those clear, you can do this by journaling. You know, you can just, there's so many different ways of discovering what it is that puts that fire in your belly, that lights
Mhm.
you up, and that you know, gives you passion and purpose, and makes you want to get up every day, rather than getting up thinking, oh God, I've got to get up and go to work and you
It's
know, pay the
Monday
bills and
again.
all of those things. Life isn't made to be lived in that way. Life is
No.
made to be enjoyable, but because it's what, you know, it's been handed down, that you have to work hard and you have
Mhm.
to work hard and play hard and do, it's not about that. You know, it's about finding, you know, we're all individuals and we all have different wants and desires in life, and you know, finding what it is that lights you up, and then taking a step towards that every day. People usually don't start even beginning that first step because they feel that it's too far away or impossible and cannot be achieved. But let me tell you, the only way to fail is by giving up. If you take a small step every single day, you will head towards that quicker than you believe. You know,
Yes.
I could have never dreamt, even just 4 years ago, of being an independent songwriter, and yet here I am, you know, releasing my own music, creating more songs, having radio interviews. I'm living the life I only dreamt of, you know, a few short years ago. And so,
Mhm.
because I've reached those achievements, I now start looking further forward about what I want to achieve next. And this is how I'm starting to create my life by design, rather than a belief system that is so archaic and out of date that
Yes.
it's about time we shook it up.
Exactly. And I know that there are people out there for whom even getting clear on what they want is too much.
Mm,
There are certain states that you can be in that you just don't know anymore.
mm,
But you always know how you want to feel. So if you cannot get clear on what you want in your life or what you want your life to look like because it's just so upside down that you just don't know, then start trying to get clear on how do you want to feel. Do you want to feel like
mm,
this? No. So how would you like to feel? The opposite of this, preferably. And go from there and
mm,
go into the feeling state of things. And then if, for instance, you identify, well, I would like to feel happiness, then you
mm,
can think about what are things that make me feel happy. And baby steps that you can take are already waking up in the morning and then thinking, I love my bed. I'm so
mm.
grateful for my bed. And I
Yes.
love my pillow. And I honestly don't want to get out of bed because I love it so much. That is already a baby step. It doesn't have to be grand or it doesn't have to be big. If you practice gratitude for your bed and your pillow and the fact maybe that you've woken up every day, that is already getting the momentum going. And if you can then expand that, for instance, on some days, you can think, I'm glad that the sun is shining today. It's such a great break from the non-stop rain.
Yeah.
Or I'm glad that someone I cared about reached out to me today.
Mm.
Or I'm glad that I have cats that make me laugh even when I feel like crying. There are always things that you can find to be grateful for. Even
Yes.
if it's you think, oh, I'm glad that the zit is gone today because I need to record this interview. I
Yeah,
didn't want it in the
exactly.
video, right? These are silly examples, but we tend to take life too serious, which is why I'm also trying to put the humor into the examples because it really is this simple. It can be
Yeah.
these little things, and it's very important to start with something, and it doesn't have to be a big step. Lots
No.
of little steps will still move you towards it. And it's a bit like a snowball. When you
Mm.
take a snowball and you put it at the top of the hill, when it first starts rolling, it doesn't pick up a lot of snow. But by the time it's at the bottom of the hill, it will be this huge thing. And that's what happens when you start practicing gratitude for your bed every morning. Before you know it, you're also grateful for your pillow. And before you know it, you're also grateful for the fact that you don't have to get up today, or that your cat isn't begging for food and you got to sleep in, or whatever it is for you, right? It's momentum that starts going, and that is the most important thing. And if you feel like I don't know where to start, and even getting clear on my emotions, well, maybe I could sort of do that, but then what, right? What's going to be the next step? Then if you feel that way, I would seriously recommend that you reach out either to me or to BB to
Mhm.
get someone to help you, because it's very difficult being your own number one fan and number one supporter when you are not even sure if you want to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need someone else that tells you you're awesome. You got
Mm.
out of bed today.
Mm.
Even when you might not believe it, it's great to hear someone say that. And that's baby steps. And if you then combine it with someone who's been through it and who has developed tools and systems like we both have to
Mm.
help get the ball rolling even further, then
Yeah.
the ball can roll quicker down the hill than you could have ever imagined when you started out. And the results can be mind-blowingly stunning and
Mm.
wonderful. And it can definitely happen a lot quicker than you think is possible right now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's reminded me of this book that I'm currently listening to, an audio book called The Gap and the Gain, and it's about where you, I don't, yeah, you obviously
I
know
know.
it. It's about where you have your focus, and so many people, look further ahead and think, oh, it would take me so many years to get here, or it would take me so far to get here, or we failed at this test, or we didn't win this match, or whatever's going on in your mind. That's being in the gap. Looking at the game, hindsight's a wonderful thing. When you look back and you see the progress you've made, no matter how many things seem to have gone wrong, there's always something that you will have gained, whether it's waking up in bed with a different attitude by being grateful, whether it's looking at, you may not feel like you're getting anywhere with some particular project you've got on and going on at work or something, but actually when you look back at the way you started, look at how far you've come on, look at the knowledge you've gained, look at the progress you've made. And people are so used to sort of putting themselves in that negative space, or that that unachievable kind of realm, where when you look at how far you've gained, it shows you how to build confidence in yourself, how to trust yourself, and know that you got what it takes to be able to move forward with these skills. It's I love that we're on such a similar sort of journey and such a good
Yeah.
understanding, because this is it's exciting to spread this information and let other people realize that it is easy to do it when you know how. And actually that's what we are here for, to give that know-how, to share, to be able to let people live a life with more joy and more fun, because life's too short to be wasting on the negative stuff, right?
For sure. And in line with the gap and the gain a lot of people compare themselves to other people, and then they
Yes.
think, oh, you started your business later than me and you're already making millions and I cannot even get consistent 10K months. So you then take that to mean something bad about yourself. That's also being in the gap. When you compare yourself to others and you find yourself lacking, that is
Yeah.
being in the gap. When
Mhm.
it comes to comparison, the only thing you can compare yourself is the you from yesterday, or the you from the day before, or the you from
Mhm.
last week, or the you from
Mhm.
last month or last year, because that's the only constant, you.
Mhm.
So you can only see how far you've come and not compare yourself to somebody else, because that's comparing an apple to a pineapple.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're both apple in the world, but that's about the only similarity between the
Yeah.
two, right? So you cannot look at it that way. And that's the gain, right? When you
Yeah.
see Okay, so I am now able to at least do gratitude 5 out of 7 days a week, and I manage to journal maybe once a week, which is a lot more than not at all. And
Mm, mm,
I've now started doing, yeah, whatever it is, yoga in the morning
mm,
or walking in nature, and I am getting up 5 minutes earlier every day when
mm.
I wake up. It's the little things that are your
Yes.
game.
Yeah. And most people, I was just thinking that most people don't start because there's some sort of fear of failure, fear of judgment, again, comparing themselves to others,
Yeah.
fear of, there's so many things that people are scared of that block them starting. But as we've shown, there's so many different little small ways that you can just take these tiny steps. And each day, those steps become huge progress over time, and, you know, months and years to come. And the fear of starting something is usually actually far worse than the actual starting of something. You know,
Mhm.
the fear of, and the block that we have in our minds that actually stop us going to the gym for the first day, you know, day one or one day, you know, or giving up that smoke because the fear of what's going to happen. But actually, when you do these things, the fear is not as much as you actually build it up into your mind to be. And then when you start achieving a few of these things that you thought you were fearful of, and you start overcoming them, again, it builds your self-confidence, it builds your self-worth. And then you start realizing, actually, I have got what it takes. I can do what it is that I need to do. It isn't just for other people. I am capable of doing this. And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful sort of thing that I want to implant into anyone that's listening right now. You are so capable of anything that you want to achieve.
Yes, that is such a beautiful message. You are capable of doing anything you put your
Mm.
mind to,
Yes.
literally.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that you've been enjoying this interview as much as I've been having talking to BB. And it would be awesome if you could subscribe to this channel, maybe like this video and share it with your tribe, because you never know who needs to hear this message that you
Mm.
know.
Mm.
So you will be doing them and us a very big service. I would also love it if you could let us know either if you have a question in the comments, or otherwise, what is your biggest takeaway or your biggest insight from our talk today? And if you could leave that in the comment, that would be amazing too. And I can also imagine that you would like to know where to find Bibi. So, how can people contact you, or where can they find you, Bibi?
Yes, I'm on all social media as at BB Fenix. Now let me spell that for you just to make sure you get it right. It's just two capital B, so BBFeenix at BB Fenix on all social medias across everything. You can find me under that name. Even if you just Google it, I pop up. So I'm there. My inspiration can be found, all of the things that I speak about. And yeah, it would be lovely to be able to inspire and help anyone, you know, you know, please reach out to either of us. We'd love to show you what is possible. You just need to have that first, that, you know, instinct to reach out to us, and we can take it from there.
Exactly. You actually have a very great stage name.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's actually,
Right?
you know, for me, actually, just quickly before we wrap it up, that came from having to be able to change myself over and over again, about having to claim myself back, and realize that I am capable. And, you know, even with moving forward, you still come through things, and it's that rising again and again. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm here to show. You know, where you stand is not where you need to stay. Change is possible every day up until the day that you die.
Exactly. I love that, because the only thing that is certain in life is change. That's the only thing that's 100% certain. And that's why we need to learn to embrace change and be comfortable with change, because it will never leave. It will
It's
always be
inevitable.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you handle it determines how much you enjoy your life. That's the short gist of it. So thank you so much for being here, BB. Thank you so much for being a guest. And of course, also you, viewer, listener out there, thank you for your support for the channel and the show, and for being here and listening to us talk. It has been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been so honored. And yeah, let's hope that we've changed at least one person's heart or mind about anything. That's my
Exactly.
purpose. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you also. And I hope to see and talk to you again, listeners, viewers, in another interview next week. Have an amazing rest of your day, and talk to you soon.